What's up, Facebook and YouTube? I see there's somebody watching on YouTube. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, you're still there. All right. Well, hi guys. In case you haven't noticed, I'm in the square one room with this lovely coat rack behind me. If we do a little zoop this way, you can see Megan doing her little dance over there. Gotta love it. And she gets to double hear everything that's happening because she's got her lovely headphones on. So we're gonna have a good night. It's only an hour class tonight, you guys, so we will zip through some of this information pretty quickly. It was meant to be that way, so if you have questions, make sure to drop those in the comments. We're talking about like how to choose the right social media for your business, and this is a question I get a lot. Whether you should do Facebook and Instagram, whether you need to be on LinkedIn, do I need to be on Google Plus? Like, what the heck is Pinterest and how can I use it? And then the biggest question as of recent is, how do I use TikTok? So we're not going to go too far into how to utilize some of these social medias, but I will be talking about the different demographics in each one, what posts work well on certain platforms versus other platforms. So that all being said, I'm going to bring my slides up on. Oh, lovely. Look how cute that is. We're trying new technology here, you guys, so bear with us in case something goes crazy. But, we're gonna zip through this pretty quickly. Like I said, we're gonna start off with Facebook, but we'll end with TikTok. So if TikTok's your thing, make sure to stick around to the end. It's got tacked on to the very end because this is a presentation that continually gets added to. We'll go ahead and get started. So real quick, what is social media and why should you care about it? Well, I think everybody's pretty familiar with the idea of social media. Hi, Laura. I want to know more about your book, so feel free to drop some of that information in the comments as well. But social media, is fundamentally about people connecting to people, right? It's about relationships. It's about communication. It's about dialogue. But it's not necessarily about like businesses connecting to businesses or people connecting to brands. Like that's not what the intention was for. However, it's kind of transitioned that way. So there's always a great way to utilize social media when you have a brand or when you have a business, but it has to be at that forefront of relationship building and providing value and creating community. So always remember that, like, think about your end user and how they are going to utilize the content that you're posting. Hi, Dana. Ooh, yeah, jumping back into social media. That's always a fun one. All right. So this is I say this, take it with a grain of salt. Social media is not a networking event. And by networking event, I mean those networking events that everybody's like wearing a suit and tie and they've got their business cards and like legitimately like people take their business cards and they're just like flinging them out to every single person in there. And it's very, it's a me game, right? It's like, how many people can I connect with? How many people can I sell to? How many coffees can I set up for later in this week? It's not ideal, right? That's fine for a networking event, but social media is, like I said, about providing value. So you shouldn't be sales all the time. You shouldn't be trying to get people in that pipeline. You shouldn't be trying to get more leads. It's about creating a community on your page, and whether that's your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your TikTok account, whatever that is, but it's all about providing value. And so the way we do that is with this 80-20 rule. And there's a lot of 80-20 rules out there in life, but this one specifically, I'm referring to 80% of the time that you're posting on any platform should be about building that community, educating your community, entertaining your community. Give them something that they can use, give them something that makes them smile, give them something that's not sales. So if you're an author, right, like say, give them, like book recommendations, give them writing tips, give them motivational ideas. There's lots of content that you can provide your audience without saying, buy my book, check out my website, right? There's lots of stuff that you can do. So 20% of the time, absolutely go for it. Get people to click through to your website, get them to register for your event, get them to buy your product, get them to follow you on other social media pages. There's a lot of content that we can do in that 20%, and that's kind of the money making part. But if they're not engaging with the 80%, they're never going to see the 20%. Does that make sense? And then this is really important. I put this at the beginning of the presentation because this is another thing that happens to a lot of small business owners, is that they see all of these different social medias and they immediately get overwhelmed because they think that they have to be on every single one. Well, I have to be on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and Google and TikTok and Pinterest and Snapchat and all of them. And by the time they have created accounts for all of these, they're completely burnt out and they don't have any time to spend on their actual business. So we want to make sure that you start off small. I always prefer to start off with like Facebook and Instagram. Those go hand in hand because they're hitting two different demographics, but because they're connected, because Facebook owns Instagram, you can post the same content to both and really see what works well on what platform. So it's like half of the work to start with those two, but you really have to consider your business and are those platforms the best for your business? So that all being said, we'll jump into Facebook. Writing tips would work. Graveyard fanatic. Yes, cool places to visit. Okay, Laura, you're speaking my language. My grandpa loves visiting graveyards. It's a little creepy, but like that's fun and weird, right? So there's always that personal like touch to some of the content that you can put out, which is it makes your social media account all the more unique for people to follow because they're getting something they're not getting somewhere else. So add some of that flavor in, add some of the spice. I love that. Okay, so Facebook, monthly active users. It has the most monthly active users at 2.23 billion. This number continues to go up no matter what people are saying. People are saying, oh, people aren't using Facebook anymore. They are, but the ages are just trending up, right? So when you look at the demographics, it's usually between the 25 and the 54-year-old. That being said, those numbers are trending upwards, right? 60% of Facebook users are female. Don't read too much into that. This is, again, monthly active users, so you could just assume that maybe women are checking their account more often than men are. The format. So Facebook is kind of a catch-all, right? You can just post text, you can post an image, you can post video, you can do live, you can do stories, you can do all of this stuff on Facebook, which is, it's great, but there's sometimes so much that you don't know what to start with. So if you have great content and you don't know where to put it, Facebook is going to be a good spot for that because it is sort of a catch-all. Another question I get a lot when it comes to Facebook is how often should I be posting? And people, one, usually don't like my answer. And two, I don't really have a great answer for you to begin with. But what I do tell people is that a frequency can be either 3 times a week on the low end. If you're posting like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, you're good, you're consistent, you're staying top of mind, but you're not necessarily overdoing it by any means. Kind of run of the mill is once a day posting, which a lot of people are already like, I can barely keep up with 3 times a week. Now I'm supposed to be posting every day. Do what works for you. You don't want to burn yourself out. But if you're looking at best practices for Facebook specifically, once a day is how frequently you should be posting. I know. I feel you, Laura. And the thing is like, I teach these classes. I've been teaching these classes for a really long time. I'm, the person that you guys like look to get this information. However, square one isn't even posting once a day. And it's because life gets in the way, right? Work gets in the way. All these other things get in the way. And it's okay for that to happen. But you just need to know that if you're not consistent on social media, fewer people will see your content. And it's not because it's bad content. It's just because that's how the algorithms are working, which is depressing. But good reminders are just, like having a little calendar next to your desk or wherever you work, and just maybe it's a calendar reminder on your phone, like, hey, make sure to post something today. 3 times a week. If you can do 3 times a week, you're going to stay consistent. And it doesn't have to be this amazing video every single time. It can be that motivational quote. It can be, a behind the scenes image of what's going on in your business. It can be something fun and entertaining. It doesn't have to be like hard hitting every single time. And then on the higher end is twice a day posting. Now, most of the time I'm dealing with people who maybe are posting once a week, once a month, but every now and then we get people that are posting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, and that's overkill. You definitely don't need to be posting more than twice a day. Little asterisk onto that, unless your customers like that. You know what I mean? If you become like annoying, or if you become like putting too much on their newsfeed, they're gonna unfollow you pretty quickly. And when you're looking at engagement, if you're posting consistently throughout the day, like 3, 4, 5 times, you're really hurting your numbers, right? So if you post once a day, people are more likely to see that one post. They're gonna like, they're gonna comment, they're gonna share it. However, if you're posting 5 times a day, you're really splitting your audience, and you're not going to get the engagement that you really want to see. So think about that. Twice a day seems a lot. However, if you are in the middle of like an event or something like that, you've got something going on, you're in the middle of a really hot season for whatever you do, twice a day makes sense. 3 times a week makes sense too. So do what works best for you guys. All right. Pros of Facebook. So Facebook is really great for events. People search out events on Facebook. It's become one of the leading search engines for events, especially because we've been in a pandemic and people are looking for that connection. Even if they can't be in person, they want to make sure that they can still have that human connection. And Facebook has been a really great spot for that. Laura, does it have to be video? Absolutely not. You don't have to just post video to Facebook. You can post photos. You can just do text. I wouldn't just do text. People aren't going to see that. They're going to scroll right past it. But if they see some sort of visual component, if they see a photo, if they see a video, they're more likely to stop that scroll. And when they stop the scroll, they're more likely to engage, right? So no, it doesn't have to be a video, but you do want to make sure that you are throwing those videos in every now and then, because the Facebook algorithm puts videos at the very top of everyone's newsfeed. Another great thing about Facebook is it's a great place to research. So even if you're not utilizing Facebook necessarily as like a sales or branding tool, it is a great spot to see what your competition is doing, how often they're posting, how much engagement they're getting, what products they're offering, what services they're offering. It's a good place to get that information. So even if you're not using it as a social media tool for your marketing aspect, use it as a research tool. And again, it's a great place to build a community. So whatever you do, you can create a community and really gain some fans on Facebook. And I'm not talking about like being a influencer, and everybody's like throwing themselves at you. I'm talking about like people that are really look forward to seeing the content that you're posting because they get something from it. So building community on Facebook is huge. Some cons of Facebook, and this is a big one, you guys. It's really hard to grow a page from nothing without putting money behind it on Facebook. And it was designed that way. I mean, Facebook is a business, and so they make money through ads. And if you have a business page that's not running ads, it's going to be really slow growth unless you go viral for some reason. And going viral is really difficult. So the low organic reach is a real issue when it comes to Facebook. Some goals of Facebook: building community, like I said, building those relationships with your customers, your community partners, and a pro tip. So Hannah's lovely pro tip for Facebook is use the tools that Facebook gives you. So this directly affects the algorithm. You want to make sure that when you're using Facebook, you're uploading photos and videos directly to Facebook. You want to make sure that you're playing around with all their different publishing tools. If you go to your Facebook page, on the left-hand side, there's so many options of what you can do with your page under Creator Studio, Publishing Tool. You can use their calendar to schedule stuff out. There's so many things that Facebook gives you, and they want you to use them. And the more you use them, that actually helps the algorithm as well. So make sure to use the tools that Facebook gives you. Feel free to drop any comments on Facebook down below. I do teach classes specifically on Facebook, and if you want links to those, let us know in the comments as well, and we'll make sure we send those videos to you. In the meantime, we will start talking about YouTube. So YouTube is obviously, it's been around for a while, and it started dying a little bit, but then it jumped right back up there, and that became with the acquisition of YouTube from Google, these two conglomerates are jumping way far up the ranks again. So monthly active users, 1.9 billion. Honestly, it's getting way closer to 2.5 at this point. Demographics. This is the crazy thing, is that when you look at Facebook, there's a specific demographic. You look at Instagram, there's a certain demographic. But when you look at YouTube, it's across the board. 5-year-olds are using YouTube, 95-year-olds are using YouTube, and there's really no one age demographic that is using YouTube more than the other, which is great if you're a business that really caters to a bunch of people. The format, it's all video, right? You can't post to YouTube if you're just going to post a photo. You can't post to YouTube if you're just going to post text. It's all video. So I'm going to lose a lot of people because a lot of people don't like to be on video, and that's okay. I don't necessarily like to be on video either, but sometimes we have to, get outside of our comfort zone a little bit, especially if we are trying to teach our audience something or show them something that they don't already know. Frequency. Now, people are going to like this frequency a lot better. 1 time a week. If you post once a week to YouTube, you're good to go. You've set the limit. You don't have to do anything until the next week. Now, the reason for this is that YouTube usually you have to edit a little bit, right? You can't just post a video with no title, no subtitles, no anything. You want to make sure that you are touching it up a little bit, and that is one of the cons, which I'll jump to the next page. It is time and resource intensive. So if you do want to utilize YouTube, a tripod is nice. If you're going to start shooting a bunch of video, maybe some lights, you want a background. There's a lot of resources involved with making high produced videos. I'm not saying you need to make high produced videos, but they tend to do better on YouTube than somebody, with an iPhone with bad editing, bad lighting, that type of thing. However, some pros of YouTube is that it really helps people solve problems, right? Think about the last time you went to YouTube. Now, the last time I went to YouTube, I was looking at a music video. However, the time before that, I needed to know how to turn off the check engine light on my car after I went and got an oil change. I wanted to learn how to do a thing. And that's why people go to YouTube, is to learn something. So as a business owner who's utilizing YouTube, what kind of videos can you put out to really teach people something? And can you give them just a taste of what you do without giving away trade secrets, right? You don't want to teach them exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it, but you want to give them just enough so that they keep coming back for more. So some goals of YouTube: brand awareness, you guys. So if you have a YouTube channel and you're giving them all this great information, you're giving them quick tips for being a successful writer, you're giving them the best ways to avoid failure in life, whatever that may be, whatever those video titles are, it's all about creating brand awareness for what you do, right? So if you are a writer and you're, teaching these little 3-minute videos, and you're saying this is the best way to get focused for a day of writing, and this is what I do, and I have my laptop and I have my coffee and I make sure I have some water, and there's a process. You give them that information, but what you're really doing is connecting with them in a way that they want to know more about what you do. So they want to buy your books, they want to go to your website, they want to attend your conferences, whatever that may be. So it's all it all comes back to brand awareness, which when we're talking videos, you always end a video with the call to action, right? Now, if you watch YouTube a lot, what do people always end with, right? Make sure to like and subscribe. Like my channel, subscribe to my channel. Hey, check out our website. If you want more videos, like check down below. Like there's always that call to action. So that call to action directly affects the brand awareness. If people are engaging with your videos on YouTube, they're going to engage with you other places as well. And Hannah's pro tip, be consistent. Honestly, it's a pro tip across the board, but specifically with YouTube, you want to be consistent. If you say you're going to be posting once a week, post once a week. Don't skip a week. If you do that, you will lose followers rapidly, and it's going to be really hard to get them back. Another pro tip is video etiquette. Like I said, you might want to invest in decent lighting. You might want to invest in some audio equipment. And when I say audio equipment, I mean like just like a little lapel mic, something that will pick up audio a little better than your computer or your phone. But also like enunciating really well or looking into the camera. Like there's lots of things that you can do to make a better video. Are there how-to videos on how to edit instead of a basic YouTube post? Yeah, probably on YouTube too. That's meta. That was a Facebook joke. Anyway, yes, there are lots of how-to videos on that. In fact, Laura, if you drop your email in the comments, I will make sure that I send you a bunch of videos. If you guys are library card holders, we have a really awesome database called LinkedIn Learning. It's not what it sounds like. It's not just LinkedIn classes, but it's classes across the board on how to do various things all across different social medias. Yeah, absolutely. Videos without an audio track, even on-screen text, tend to make you switch to another video. Yeah, so audio is so important. In fact, I used to teach a lot of classes on just creating videos, and something that I used to say all the time is people will forgive you for bad video quality, but they will not forgive you for bad audio quality. And that's pretty true across the board. If you watch a video, you can usually get by if it's a little blurry or it's a little pixelated here and there. But if the audio's bad, you skip it so fast, you scroll right past it. So yeah, audio quality is really important. And a lot of things that you can do is just make sure you're in a controlled environment. Make sure that, nobody's going to come like barging through the door. Probably should have locked this door. Who knows who's going to come through it. But yeah, put yourself in a situation where you can really control the audio as best as you can. All right. Instagram. Perfect. Dana's like, yes, I'm going to make some videos for Instagram or TikTok. There is a lot of forgiveness on mostly a lot of social medias give you a little forgiveness. But yeah, YouTube seems like permanent for some reason. But maybe it's because it's like old school. That being said, a lot of people still use it. But yes, Instagram is a great place for your videos as well. 1 billion monthly active users. This trending upward. Again, with the demographics, 18 to 24. It's trending upward, or 34, excuse me. It's trending upward. More and more people are turning to Instagram because there's not as much. Instagram's it's a smaller social media than Facebook. Facebook, like I said, it's like the Walmart. Like you go in there, it's like immediately overwhelming. Instagram is like a lot more catered. There's fewer options. It's a lot easier for a lot of people to engage with. So more people are jumping on Instagram daily. Format. There has to be a visual component. Like this is kind of the difference between Instagram and Facebook is that Facebook, you can just type in text and that counts as a post. But as far as Instagram, you have to have either an image or a video or a story, right? Like stories are essentially photos or videos anyway. But there has to be that visual component, which sets it apart from Facebook. Frequency, once a day. Sorry. That's kind of the baseline. You don't really want to post more than once a day on Instagram. You want to keep it about one time a day. Even every other day is fine too, but that's kind of the baseline. You want to make sure that you stay top of mind. You want to be relevant with your followers. you don't want to overkill it, right? You don't want to be that person that's posting too frequently, especially because it is so visual based. You want to make sure that when you're posting to Instagram, and this is just the news feed, this is not stories. Post as many stories as you want on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, wherever. But for the news feed, once a day is a good solid frequency for you. Some pros of Instagram, it's very great for visual brands. I had a one-on-one with a woman who designs like planners, like day planners, and those are gorgeous, right? Like those take really great pictures, and they look great when you put them like on a really organized desk, like whatever. But that's a very visual brand. I also have seen a lot of like mortgage brokers try to be on Instagram. And I'm not saying you can't. I think a lot of people are doing really, really well on Instagram, and they have what I'm going to call boring businesses. They're not boring. They're just not visually appealing, right? So really think about what you offer and whether it works for Instagram, which you know is a very aesthetic, visual social media. If you have something to offer visually, then yes, Instagram's the place for you. It's also great about building connections. Instagram has a lot of what I said, influencers, right? So if you can get connected with people with a high follower count and do a collaboration with them, get them to mention you in a story, something like that, it's a really great way to build connections. And people are starting to purchase on Instagram just like they've been purchasing on Facebook for a while. So if you can kind of get into a market of, if you have a product to sell, make sure you have a shop available on Instagram. It's a good place for that also. Some cons of Instagram. I do hear this from a lot of people, is that, oh, I'm not creative. Well, you probably are. If you're a small business owner, if you're doing something innovative, right? Like you are a creative person, but maybe you're just not creative when it comes to like taking a photo. And that's fine, but just know that about yourself. Like there is some creativity that's required with Instagram. Whether that be in the hashtags or the copy or using emojis or just a really beautiful picture. But normal run-of-the-mill photos are not cutting it on Instagram. It has to be elevated somehow. So keep that in mind. And then there is like limited text. You just can't post this big, long, lots of paragraphs on your Instagram post. You kind of want to keep it short and sweet. So if you have something to say, what I would suggest is, instead of taking a photo and trying to type it out, just shoot a video. Say what you need to say in a video. That being said, keep it to under a minute if you want it to be on your news feed on Instagram, because that's the cutoff. So there are some limitations to Instagram. Some goals, connecting with existing customers, people, that aren't on Facebook, they're probably on Instagram, which is why it's good to have both. But being able to connect with them that way, you're, again, providing them value. You're showing them a little insight into who you are. You're showing them your personality. You're building trust. You're transparent with them. Social media is a great way to kind of open the door a little bit. So connecting with existing customers is a great tool for Instagram. Pro tip: utilize those stories. Stories are really cool. They're posts that go away within 24 hours. So they don't have to have that creativity exactly. They don't have to be like super dressed up by any means. But they exist for 24 hours and then they fall off. Now, the cool thing about stories is that the more you utilize the stories feature on Instagram, the more likely people will go to your page and actually see the content you're posting that stays, right? That permanent content. So utilize both. Play around with the filters. Some people like the filter, some people don't. But if you really need to like brighten up a photo, utilize that. Like you can take a dark photo and brighten it using Instagram. So if you're not a creative person, that's fine. Take that photo, but then alter it a little bit so people can see what you're posting. And hashtags. Gotta love hashtags. So hashtags are where the party's at. So make sure that when you are utilizing hashtags, you're using less than 30 hashtags. If I just blew your mind and you're like, Hannah, I don't even know what 30 hashtags would be for my business, there's a really great website. It's called besthashtags.com. Megan's typing it as we speak. But that is a really great place to figure out what hashtags are going to be relevant for your business. So you just type in one word and it spits out 30 hashtags that you can use. But you don't want to use more than that, or it's going to bounce. Like it's not going to get posted because you've used too many hashtags. Yes, hashtags are great. Okay, LinkedIn. And put on my suit and tie for LinkedIn for the very professional social media. I joke around with LinkedIn a lot because it's not my vibe, but it is a lot of people's vibe. So if you do a lot of B2B work, LinkedIn's great for you. Let's talk some demographics real quick. So 590 million monthly active users. Now, think about LinkedIn as a place for not only businesses to connect with businesses, but for people looking for jobs to find jobs, right? So monthly active users fluctuates a lot depending on the economy, right? If people are looking for jobs, they get on LinkedIn. If they're not looking for jobs, they don't log in. Like there's some give and take there. Demographics usually between 36 and 55. So again, trending a little older than your Instagram and your Facebook. Format, usually text with image, a lot of articles and links. So if you're a consultant, if you blog, if you write white papers, whatever that may be, LinkedIn's a really great spot for that. And it's also a great spot to become an industry leader, like a thought leader. So if you have something insightful to say about a new product or service offered in your business, like put it there. If you have something, if you want to go against the grain with, traditional thought, like put it on LinkedIn, because people are going to find that disagree with you, which is great for engagement, but you're also going to find people that say, yes, this person gets it. They understand this particular industry. I want to do business with them. Frequency, 1 to 2 times a day. This is also, you want to make sure you're sharing other people's content as well. So you don't have to do original content twice a day. You can do original content once a day and then share somebody else's content later. Like I said, a pro is B2B lead generation, right? So if you are a business that does business with other businesses, it's a great place for you to be, because this is the professional social media. It's a good way to reach out to people without having to just go to the info@business.com, right? Like those emails are really hard to connect with the person you're looking for. But if you can find that CEO, if you can find the decision maker on LinkedIn, you can connect with them that way, and you're going to have a better shot at, maybe getting in the door with them or giving them that pitch or trying to collaborate on something. Some cons, like I said, users are not as active. That's because a lot of LinkedIn users are job seekers. And once they have a job, they do not get back on LinkedIn until they're looking for a job again. So B2B is where it's at. If you are trying to connect with customers on LinkedIn, it's difficult. Some goals, like I said, it's becoming a thought leader, like having being the person that people go to for information. Somebody that comes to mind is Burton Kelso. So Burton Kelso is like the tech expert of Kansas City. And when anybody has a question about tech, he's the guy that they call on the news to come in and answer questions. Just like you see with, COVID, right? They always had UMKC doctors in there answering questions, because these people are thought leaders in their particular industry. And LinkedIn is a good place to establish yourself as a thought leader. So talk about your industry, talk about the business. LinkedIn is not the place for motivational quotes. It's not the place for photos of your breakfast. It's not the place for any of that fun culture content. LinkedIn is the place for business, being professional, the suit and tie. So if you have a LinkedIn account, keep it really separate from the content that you're doing on Facebook. Pro tip, Hannah's favorite pro tip for LinkedIn is use LinkedIn immediately after a networking event. So as soon as you meet somebody and you get those business cards, jump on LinkedIn, reach out to them and be like, hey, it was great to meet you today at the luncheon. If you have any questions about what I do, feel free to reach out to me on here. So excited to collaborate in the future. Boom. Now you can, one, toss that card because business cards are annoying to keep track of, but also you look like the type of person that is very active and responsive on social media. So that's my favorite way to use LinkedIn. Twitter. A lot of people are groaning because Twitter's got a bad rap recently. Monthly active users, 326 million people, demographics 18 to 29. Trending upward, like I said, most of these social medias are going to tend to trend upward, probably with the exception of TikTok, but that's technology in general. When you adopt it, you continue to use it until you don't use it anymore. And then all of the new cool social medias are for the young kids, and then they use those as they get older. Format, mostly text, some images, some videos. Now they have expanded their offering a lot. It's because they're trying to keep up with all the other social medias. Now, if you guys remember a couple months ago when Facebook went down, well, Instagram went down too, right? Because they're on the same server. Twitter saw the biggest spike in users that they had in years because people had no way to access the information that they would normally access. They couldn't get on Facebook. They couldn't get on Instagram. They couldn't use WhatsApp. So they're like, well, better get on Twitter. And Twitter, was very tongue-in-cheek about it. And they were like, what's up, everybody? Because everybody was on Twitter at that point. And it actually kind of gave them a little resurgence in their users. But format, like I said, text, some images, some video. Frequency. Don't let it freak you out. We're looking 10 plus times a day. This is because Twitter's supposed to be like your thoughts as they come to you, right? So if you are engaging in a conversation with somebody, like that counts. That back and forth conversation, that dialogue counts as a tweet, right? So it doesn't have to be like 10 absolutely original thoughts that go out throughout the day. It could literally just be that back and forth. So don't let the 10 number freak you out. But Twitter is a great place for that conversation to happen. Yeah. Same, Dana.
I was going to put that same emoji.
Yes, Dana, you and Megan feel the same way about 10 plus times a day. So some pros of Twitter. It's a great spot for news. So if you need to know what's happening like in the moment, Twitter's a great place for that. If you are a source of news or a source of information or a source of some sort of educational content that people need to know right now, Twitter is the spot for it. It's also good for PR. Now, not necessarily great for PR because people tend to use Twitter to ask about issues that come up in their business. So you see this with a lot of these big Fortune 500 companies. People will say, listen, Southwest Airlines, like I had a really bad experience. What are you going to do about it? But this gives that business an opportunity to respond publicly, which is really, really useful, right? They say, I'm so sorry you had that experience. Please feel free to direct message us and we'll make sure that this gets fixed. Okay, boom. Like they've fix the problem, at least to the public's eye. Whether or not they did anything about it, we don't really know, but it shows that they were on top of that disaster, right? So utilizing Twitter as a way of PR works as well. And then just conversation, right? Like I said, conversation with other thought leaders in your industry, that back and forth dialogue that can happen. Not gonna lie, a lot of people are just not gonna use Twitter for business, and that's okay. Twitter works really well with certain industries and not for other industries. I happen to follow romance author Twitter because we do a lovely event every August called Romance GenreCon, but that is the Twitter sphere that I'm in right now. And so romance authors, they're on Twitter, you guys, and they're going back and forth and they are making jokes and they're promoting books and they're, promoting other authors and really having conversations with each other, which is really fun to see, not only as a fan, but as somebody who partners with these authors on certain events. So if you are, please check out Romance GenreCon if you like romances. But yeah, if you are into those like conversations with other industry leaders, Twitter is a good spot for that. Cons. Told you got to post 10 times a day. I mean, that's like a lot. But the lifespan of your post is really, really short. Like I'm talking minutes. If you post something, Usually if you don't get engagement on that post within the first like 20, 25 minutes, you're probably not going to, because there's so much content that has kind of fallen on top of that. Some goals of Twitter, again, connecting with other influencers or industry leaders. And then my pro tip is be active if you're on Twitter. You have to utilize your Twitter account, or else the next time you use it, if you've left it dead for 3 months, like nobody's going to see your content, because those algorithms are doing the same work that they're doing on Instagram and that they're doing on Facebook. If you don't utilize it, people aren't going to see your content. Check what's trending. This is really good for reviving an old account. See what's trending. Utilize those hashtags. Utilize the trending topics. If you tweeted about Patrick Mahomes, like a couple weeks ago, like people would have seen that content. If you are tweeting about something that's like really, really popular right now, you're going to see that same content. And you're also going to see people that are connecting with you in that way, right? I don't know. I don't have a great example, but like what tends to trend on Twitter, like these weird reality shows, The Masked Singer. I don't watch it. Brandy does. But she talks about it all the time. Anyway, but like you get these like fan bases, and if you tweet about these things that you are really excited about, you're going to find your tribe of people. And that's a really great way to use Twitter as well. And of course, utilize hashtags on Twitter. Twitter and Instagram, great places for hashtags. I promise to not spend a bunch of time on Pinterest, because this is not going to refer to a bunch of people. 250 million monthly active users, median age is 40, 80% female. Again, those numbers are going up. Format, it's a link, right? So it always looks like it's just an image, and it is an image, but it's an image that links to a blog, that links to a website, that links to some article-based platform. So remember that. Like if you're going to utilize Pinterest, you have to have a landing page somewhere. So whether that's a Facebook page, it's a website, whatever it is, you have to have somewhere for that content to live that's not on Pinterest. Pinterest doesn't host content. It just has links to content elsewhere. Posting twice a day is usually good for most people who are doing business on Pinterest. Pinterest is good for bloggers. It's great for writers. It's good for people who are trying to connect with women of 40 years old. So if that's who your audience is, might be a good spot for you to do some business. It's great about driving traffic to a website. So if that's kind of where your goals are in your business, you want to get people to your website, try it out, right? Like there's no harm in like putting some pins out there on Pinterest. Utilize those keywords. That is going to help with the search engine optimization on Pinterest. But when somebody types in, like say Square One had a Pinterest page, we don't, because that's not where our customers are. But if we did, we would have pins that said, like top 10 social media tips. And then when somebody clicked that, it would take them to our website, of which we would have to have a place for that article or that image to live, right? So it drives traffic there. Or we could drive them to an event page, right? That would make more sense. Some cons of Pinterest, you have to have a custom image. So you can't just like jump on Google and steal somebody else's image, and it has to be really good. Again, this is a visual social media. People are scrolling pretty quickly, and they stop when they see an image that they like. It's really hard for them to read text because the text is pretty small. It lands under the image, and so the image has to be really, really good. So unless you have a custom, awesome image, people might not see your content. Some goals, again, lead generation. If you can get them to click to your website or click to your blog, the idea is that they put something in their cart, they scroll down, and they spend a lot of time on that page. They see the ads that you've got running, whatever that may be. But you gain information, you gain leads by Pinterest if you're utilizing it correctly. Pro tip, utilize titles. Really think about the language that somebody would use when they were searching for what your solution is, right? So if Square One had a Pinterest, I would think, okay, if I'm my customer and I'm on Pinterest and I'm looking for social media ideas, like what am I typing? Well, I would say, Facebook post ideas. Okay, cool. Well, that's what I'm going to title this class or this section on my website, because keyword searches are really, really important. You have to use the same language that your audience is going to use. And again, just like Facebook, Pinterest is a really awesome spot to research your competition, see what they're doing, see what content they're posting on their blog, see if they're even on Pinterest. Another pro tip on a personal level that has absolutely nothing to do with business is that if you're unsure of what to bring to a family function food wise, or if you don't know what to buy somebody for a birthday present, get on their Pinterest and see the things that they have pinned. Then you know what recipes they like, and you know what kind of stuff that they've saved on their Pinterest, and you look like you can read minds when in fact you just stalked them on Pinterest. So that's Hannah's personal tip on Pinterest. Snapchat, again, some people are using this for business. A lot of people are just using it personally. Monthly active users, about 100 million. This one's actually falling off a little bit. It's because you can see the demographic. 71% was under the age of 35. But those people found another home, TikTok. So people are still using Snapchat. Not as many people. Format, image, video, utilizing stories. A lot of posts a day, you guys, like 5+ times a day, you're sending these snaps out. So not necessarily to specific people like Snapchat was originally created for, but people are posting to their stories about 5 times a day on Snapchat. Really great for behind the scenes content and showing that you're a real person behind an account. That is a great way to connect with your audience on a personal level, showing them that you are real, you're a human, you make mistakes, you have fun when you're not in front of a camera. Some cons, limited demographic. Like I said, 71% is under the age of 35, and that's even dropping off. So you're really limited to who you can reach out to on Snapchat. Some goals, though, are just, again, connecting with customers, creating a better relationship with your audience. And a pro tip is just showing the real you. If you're going to utilize those stories, not trying to be more than you are, not trying to put on like some facade of a professional business owner, but having fun with your audience. That's the best thing that you can do in video in general, but definitely on Snapchat. Laura, Twitter groups for YA librarians. Oh my God. Librarian Twitter, which I'm also on. Jump in it. It's wild. Especially, like I said, there's so many niches on Twitter that, like I said, I'm in romance Twitter, but YA Twitter has got to be wild, and I want to know more about it. So when you get on Twitter and you're jumping in those different industries, I want to know more about it. So we're going to need to connect on that. Okay, everybody's been waiting for this one. TikTok. 800 million monthly active users. That number is skyrocketing, you guys. Demographics, 48% right now is between 18 and 29. That's not to say that people older than that aren't using it, people younger than that aren't using it. A lot of people are headed to TikTok. Format is all videos. It's all videos. And the cool thing about TikTok is you can edit right in the app. So this is a question I've been getting for years, is like, I want to shoot video, but I don't know how to edit. TikTok has like solved that problem because the editor's right there in the platform. So this is why a lot of people have turned to TikTok, is because they've made video editing really, really simple. Frequency, 1 to 3 times a day. A lot, especially when we're talking video. But the beautiful thing is that TikTok allows us to be ourselves. Like I said, when I'm talking Snapchat, it's really, really similar. You get to show your personality, you get to be yourself, you get to have fun, you get to show culture, and you can do that at least once a day. Like, that should be pretty simple when you think about, I just need to shoot like a 30-second video. Boom. I can give a quick little 30-second tip. I can say, what's up, you guys? I hope you have an awesome Monday. I'm really excited about the rest of the week. Here's one of my goals for this week, and I hope you follow along with me. Boom. Like that was 10 seconds, right? And super easy. And that's the type of content that you can post to TikTok. It's not all dance videos. It's not all people pulling pranks. It's not all makeup tutorials. It's a lot of really awesome, wholesome content if you find the right audience for you. One of my friends had one of her videos like really blow up and went completely viral. I'm talking like millions of views. It was just her walking her son in the park, and he had this weird like bike thing that wasn't a real bike because he's like too young to ride a bike, but it was like a stroller bike situation. And she was just like, this is the best thing I've ever bought off Amazon because he has his independence and he thinks he's riding a bike, but I have full control over where he goes. And that video blew up with parents, right? It blew up with people who have kids who have had that same struggle. And guess what? When she put that link to the Amazon link to buy the thing, people use that link and people bought that product. So think about how you could utilize that for your business, right? Like how can you show a product or service that you have that could really benefit someone's life? Acupuncture clinic for your business, best platform. Facebook's going to be great for acupuncture. Depending on whether or not you can like share different videos and photos of some of the stuff that you do, Instagram might work out. But actually, I think acupuncture would do really, really well on YouTube if you're the type of person that can explain the benefits, right? If you can explain the benefits of acupuncture, and a lot of people have some qualms about utilizing acupuncture, but here are all the myths associated with it, and let me bust those for you. There's a lot of video content surrounding that, Mary. So I think that YouTube might be a really great platform for you. And I'm going to go ahead and say TikTok's probably a good platform for everybody. I'm a late adopter, but we're going to get into it, I promise. So frequency, like I said, 1 to 3 times a day. Pros of it, entertainment and culture. It is fun. TikTok is a fun platform. People get on there to be entertained, but they stay on there because they're getting good information. It does, at this point, have sort of a limited demographic because a lot of people are hesitant to get on there. If you have like a 50 or 60-year-old man in your life, they probably say, ugh, all your kids on TikTok, right? Well, that's not necessarily the case anymore. There's lots of awesome people on TikTok. There's lots of great information. So sort of a limited demographic at this point, but it's really growing to everybody. A goal on TikTok is to really show your personality. You get to be real. You get to be on video. You get to have those real conversations with people. And because it's global, like your views are going to go through the roof compared to if you have a Facebook page, you post a video, the only people that are going to see that video, unless it goes viral, which is not often, are the people that follow your page. So let's say you have 1,000 people that follow you on Facebook. 1,000 people have the potential to see your video, but do they? Not necessarily. On TikTok, the entire world has the potential to see your video, depending on when you post and what tags you're using. So you can really gain a lot of business on TikTok if you're using it correctly. Now, we did have a TikTok class, a couple weeks ago, and if you want to check that out, we'll make sure to drop a link in the comments. Definitely make sure to check that out if TikTok's something you want to jump into. My pro tip for TikTok is have fun, keep learning it. Like I said, there's a video editor right there, but hey, we're not all videographers and things are going to be tricky sometimes. So play around with it. There's really nothing that you can do on TikTok that can't be undone, right? If you mess it up really bad, just delete it and it's fine and it's gone. So TikTok's a really interesting platform that we're still figuring out. But we can figure it out together. So that's the fun part of social media. Sometimes with TikTok and Instagram, you get caught up in thinking about trends, balance, organic versus trends. You know what? You're not alone. A lot of people do get caught up in thinking about like, okay, well, should I post this or should I do this? Or is this too like out there? Try not to overthink it. One, set that aside and really get into the mindset of your customer. What content do they want to see? The beautiful thing about TikTok and Instagram Reels is that you can create the video in TikTok and share it to Reels, so you have both of those covered. But is there a balance to aim for? Not necessarily. Social media is all about, it's like a big research project. So do a little bit of everything, see what works, and then definitely see what doesn't work. Take those notes and then readjust from there. Organic content is content that you're not paying for, right? So it's content that you're not putting money behind. So if you can organically get a bunch of viewers on Facebook or on TikTok or on Instagram, do it that way. Like, don't put money behind it if you don't need to. But some of the trends, right? Like, all the music that goes behind these TikToks and these Reels, like, you don't have to have any music behind it. You don't have to have any subtitles. You can literally just be you talking into a camera, and it's going to do just as well as if you had this really highly produced video. So the best thing you can do on TikTok and on Instagram is just do it, is just hit the post button, because as soon as you post it, you have kind of conquered that little like hill of fear of doing it, and you can only get better from there. So the best thing you can do is not overthink it, start doing it, and then readjust later. Okay, so
Laura and I want to know if your friend made money from the viral TikTok post.
She did not, because it's not her product. If it was, though, she would have made a bunch of money. But that's kind of the cool thing, though, is that how could she have monetized it? Let's talk about that for a second. So if you have a video that goes super viral and you like said, oh, this product is really amazing, like, check it out. If you can continue to post videos where you're saying like, hey, this product is really amazing, check it out, you're going to continue to get followers because they think that you give good advice. Now, what happens when you start to get followers is that then when you reach out to brands, you can say, hey, I have a bunch of followers on my TikTok and I really love your product. Let's talk about doing a partnership, and I will post your product out of my page and you can pay me for it. And that means you're an influencer and you can put that on your resume. But yeah, you have to take advantage of stuff like that. So if you post a video and it goes viral and you don't really follow up on anything, tough. But a recipe for really great content, the content that's going to go viral, is it entertaining? Is it relevant? And is it useful? And if it's all three of those things, that's the golden content, right? Like, that's the stuff that's going to get shares, it's going to get comments, it's going to get likes. It has to be one of these three things, or else you shouldn't be posting it at all anywhere, especially if it's not relevant. Like, if you're posting things that are irrelevant, we need to take a few steps back and figure out what the problem is. But educate, entertain, give them useful information, and keep, continuing to build a community. This is one of my favorite quotes as it pertains to social media specifically, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and again, expecting a different result. If you are utilizing Facebook and you don't have a lot of followers, you don't have a lot of engagement, and you keep doing the same stuff, you're never going to have a lot of engagement. You're never going to have a lot of followers. You have to try new things. And maybe that new thing is doing a live video. Maybe that new thing is trying to post on Instagram. Maybe that new thing is adopting TikTok and figuring out how to use that. But we have to start adopting new technologies and new ways to market, new ways to brand ourselves, because if we don't, we're following even farther behind everybody else. So try new things, take a deep breath, and jump outside of that little fear bubble that we live in, and hit that post button, hit the record button, whatever that is. Like, kind of jump outside that fear for a second and do it. And if you need help doing it, let's jump on a call together. If you want to start utilizing TikTok, like I also want to start utilizing TikTok, so let's do it together. I have a link that you can book a one-on-one with me. And guess what, you guys? They're not all virtual anymore. I can meet with you one-on-one in person anywhere in the Kansas City metro. I'm not flying to New York. Although if you're booking the flight, then I will get on the plane. However, schedule with me. Let's talk marketing. Let's talk branding. Let's talk advertising. Let's talk Facebook. If you want an audit of your social media accounts, like, I will be honest, it might hurt your feelings a little bit, but we will get it going for you. Make sure to drop any more comments you've got, any more questions that you may have. I will continue to kind of monitor these comments as the next couple days roll by, but schedule that one-on-one with me. And if you would be so kind, we have a lovely survey that we would really love for you guys to fill out. The survey helps us, obviously, with our grant. We are grant funded, so we have to get these numbers for that specific grant, but it also helps us put on classes like this. So let us know what kind of content you're looking for, what kind of educational opportunities you're looking for. Let us know what's helpful and what's not. It's a really, really quick survey. So if you could do that for me, I would be really appreciative. Megan would be really appreciative. But more than anything, our stats lady, Katina, would be very, very, very appreciative of it. So please fill out that survey. I'm going to say it like, I don't know, 3 more times. Survey, 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 for the 3 people that are still watching this. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Laura and Dana, for those awesome questions. I really appreciate you guys sticking in here with us. Mary, thanks to you as well. I think
Our YouTube viewers.
Yeah. Thanks, Mary, for hanging out with us on YouTube. This is wild. We normally don't have a bunch of people watching on YouTube, so we're excited. Yay, growth. So anyway, survey, book a one-on-one with me, and you guys have an awesome, awesome evening. I will see y'all later.